The third book I read was the... Welcome back to my channel, and today I'm bringing you the first update for the Colour Me Reading Challenge that I created with Samantha Pans, who I'll have linked up in the cards for you. This project is based on the Monochromatic Year, the book edition that I did in 2020, which was an altered version of the Monochromatic Year created by KaliFab, who I'll also have linked up above and down in the cards. January's colour was gold, and I managed to get through 4 books, though 3 of those were audiobooks. I started with Moon Tortured, which is the first book in the Sky Brooks series by Mackenzie Hunter. This is a paranormal story. It is regarding shifters, especially werewolves and a werewolf pack, and a girl named Sky, who is a werewolf, but she is a lone wolf. However, there is something special about her, and that means that she is being hunted by the vampires. So when we come into the story, the first major, I guess, catalyst for the drama has already occurred. So we do hear about it from her memories rather than it actually occurring in front of us. I'm not sure how I feel about the book. As I went through, there were certain parts that I really liked and I enjoyed quite a lot, but overall my feelings towards Sky were really up and down. As a main protagonist and a main character, I couldn't really relate to her, and I actually found her rather frustrating for the majority of the story. She not only makes incredibly stupid decisions and rash decisions, but then she says that she needs to have all the information, but she makes these rash decisions with as little information as possible, which is really frustrating. I do at the same time understand her frustration, because I'm also someone who likes to have all the facts regarding change and regarding situations. So I get how she feels when dealing with the shifter pack in itself, because they like to keep things on a need-to-know basis, which Sky does not really appreciate. And I can feel that, because I doubt very much that I would be the type of person that would like that either. However, I still do not think that she made some really smart decisions, and it was... She doesn't like her werewolf side, which is the main part of the story, is the fact that she is trying to deny that whole side of herself, which I find frustrating as well, because if she was just a better werewolf, a lot of the situations wouldn't happen the way they do. But that is not here nor there. It is ended in a way that story has completed. However, it is part of a series, therefore there are follow-on stories. I do not think at this point that I will be continuing on. When I first finished, I thought maybe I would, but the more I think back to it, the more I realized I didn't really enjoy the story as a whole, and I feel like there are a lot better paranormal and werewolf stories out there. So I probably won't be continuing on with this series, but I mean, never say never, right? I then also listened to the audio book of The Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey. It was also narrated by Dave Ramsey himself. I know that Dave Ramsey is a very popular financial guru, especially in America. He is, I guess, the barefoot investor of America. So we have the barefoot investor, Scott, in Australia. And I guess he's kind of the Americanized version of that. And I will say that both of them, as I have already read The Barefoot Investor, there are certain sections that do cross over. Overall, however, I didn't particularly like the way that Dave Ramsey structured his I guess, story, his narrative. For one, I don't really personally myself like to mix the ideas of religion and finances, though I feel that they both have their own parts in the world. I don't think they belong together. So there were certain aspects that I couldn't really get on board with or get behind what he was saying, because I felt that he related them too much to religion and to specifically one type of religion, which is his religion, while the book overall is meant to be designed for every Tom, Dick and Harry. So that I didn't really like or appreciate, because if you do not follow the same religion as Dave Ramsey, it felt kind of uncomfortable at times to be hearing the way he spoke. Also, I didn't really appreciate the way that I felt like he was yelling at me the whole time. I understand that any money concerns I do or don't have in my life are caused by myself. However, there are certain parts that I don't feel he needs to be talking the way he talks. There are certain bits of the structure and his plan, his total money makeover, that I like and I will be incorporating into my own, I guess, debt-free journey. However, there are other aspects that I don't particularly like and I probably won't be incorporating. On top of that, as I mentioned before, it is very Americanized. So there are certain aspects of his ideas of financial makeover that don't particularly work so much in Australia, especially in regards to types of insurances he was talking about and all those type of things that wouldn't fit me, as I live in Australia, I'm Australian, but I got information regarding that aspect from The Barefoot Investor. So I do think that over the two books, there are things that are useful and things that are worth taking on board, but there are other aspects I don't particularly want to take on board and I do not like. I'm also personally not a massive fan of cash envelopes for a lot of reasons. First off, I am super lazy and I'm not going to the bank to get out cash every week or every month. But also, I also feel like my cash is less safe if it's all in cash. I mean, if there's a house fire, there goes all your savings if you've got it all in cash. Just a thought. But anyway, I particularly do not follow the idea of cash envelopes. I understand what he's saying and I feel that for some it is super useful to go down that path, but for me it is not. So that is one thing I'd like to highlight. If you are on a debt-free journey, do not feel that you must to a T follow some of these debt-free ideas, these debt-free guidelines or step-by-step guides, because not everybody's debt is the same and not everybody's life circumstances are the same, and sometimes it is better to make things suit yourself. So overall, even though I didn't dislike the book, it wasn't necessarily the perfect finance book for me. But in saying that, I have taken some of the concepts from that and will incorporate it into my own life. And I do think that it was worth me reading because so many people within the debt-free community talk about Dave Ramsey and his ideas that it is worth me actually having a better understanding of what they're referring to. The third book was Ruthless King. It's the first book in the Mount trilogy by Megan March. And let's just say I finished it and straight away went to move on to the second book, especially after the cliffhanger ending. But unfortunately, the colors didn't match, so I had to hold my horses and put that on my to-be-read list. But be assured you will see the next book coming up at some point in the next 12 months. In this book, we follow our main protagonist while she basically goes to war with our main antagonist, who is Lachlan Mount, who the Ruthless King in, as the title does say. It is set in New Orleans and he is essentially the king of New Orleans. In the sense, the king of the underground. And she has a massive debt. She runs a whiskey distillery called Seven Sinners, but she has got herself in a bit of a bad situation because of a whirlwind marriage that ended in a massive debt owing to Lachlan Mount. What is the payment for that debt? It is over $1 million. However, he says he will accept her in payment. So that is basically where this story is going. I don't know whether this story is going to end as a bit of a romance. It seems at points to be heading that way. If at the end of this story the two are going to officially be together, would that be a little bit Stockholm syndrome-y? I guess so, but you know, it's fiction. So I don't know if that is where this story is going to go, or if it is going to end as a bit of a, yep, we're done, ties cut, I've paid me debt. But we will see. So as it is a Mount trilogy, there are 3 books in the series, and I'm looking forward to seeing where this story goes. Last but not least, I did read The Haunted and Mysterious Australia, Bunyips, Yowies, Phantoms and Other Strange Phenomenons by Tim the Yowie Man. So this book essentially kind of goes through a variety of different paranormal places within Australia. It does mention here that they have tried to stick away from the main well-known stories, the constantly repeated stories, such as things like Old Melbourne Jail and things like that. So there are some really interesting stories in here. And there are definitely things that I would like to read more about. I did enjoy this story, the way this was written and developed, because Tim the Yowie Man, who is a bit of a renowned skeptic, surprisingly enough, he has gone to all these locations and all these things and has his own experiences from them. Lots of them he hasn't got massive experiences, he didn't experience too much, and most of it's based off of I guess interviews with locals or those who have experienced things, but some of them he has his own experiences to talk about. If you are a fan of the haunted and mysterious, if you would like to know more about paranormal within Australia especially, I would definitely recommend checking out this book. It is very well written, the pictures are fantastic, and though you are only getting, I guess, little bits of information, it is still enough to just whet the taste buds. So yes, if you are a fan of the weird and wonderful and you would like to know more about Haunted Australia, I definitely recommend giving this book a read. So that means I managed to read 4 books in January, which I am very, very pleased about. And currently I'm actually doing a reader's advisory course as part of my uni degree, which does require a heap of reading. So you will be seeing a few books coming up that I'll be reading part of that. I am trying very, very hard to make sure I still stick within the colours of the month, though sometimes I might have to give that a miss. But either way, if I do or don't, I will mention what books I have read in the month within these videos. But also as part of that, one of the recent topics we've done is audiobooks. And we have had quite a few conversations regarding the concept of whether audiobooks are cheating, because I have been told in the past that an audiobook is cheating, it's not really reading. And I think that has come about because of what our idea is of reading, what meaning and definition we've given to the word read or reading. We normally say we listen to music, but we read sheet music. And we watch TV, but we read a script. So that is where you're in a situation where you would probably say you listen to an audiobook and you're not really reading it. But that is probably because we've put this definition on reading of you have to physically be reading something from a bit of paper. You have to be looking at text in some form and then consuming that text and turning it in your brain to develop the meaning of it. So it is a process of using your eyes and your brain rather than your ears and your brain. However, I don't fully agree with that. As you can see, I am a fan of the audiobook, and I do think that listening to an audiobook or reading an audiobook counts as reading. It counts as consuming the story. Yes, it is a different experience than when you read it physically yourself, but it is still the consumption of a story and still a consumption of written text. The difference is that that written text has been basically turned into a vocal version, which I think is fantastic because not everybody can read a written text for a variety of different reasons. So I will want to note here, though it has nothing to do with this video, but it was something that I found interesting as part of the conversation to do with books within my Reader's Advisory course, that I personally am on board with the idea that audiobooks should be classed as reading. But I am very interested to hear what your thoughts on this matter are, so please let me know down in the comments. But just remember that this is a discussion, not an argument, not a fight. So make sure to keep it nice down there. Now let's move forward on to February. So February's color is pink, obviously because of Valentine's Day. So I'm hoping to get through at least one audio and one, no, let's change it. Let's go. I'm hoping to get through at least one audio and 3 physical books within this month. It is a shortened month, so we'll see how we go, but if I end up doing more audio books and less physical books, I'll still be happy about that. Really, just because my goal is 4, it is more based on the fact that I got through 4 in January. And if I do or don't reach that goal, either way, I'm happy that I managed to get through some books. So let's finish this bad boy up here, and I will see you next month. So I'm Verity. That was the first update for my Colour Me Reading Challenge, and now to the outro.